Okay, let's finish up that last 2 minutes or so, that little clip of Jesse Ventura when he first talked about waterboarding Cheney. That was the first time he ever talked about it that I knew of, and now it's big news today. We should have put that clip on the web. But let's go ahead and go back to that video. Here it is. Can you describe what waterboarding was like?
Drowning. It gives a complete sensation that you are drowning.
What did they do?
They strap you down, they put a towel across your face, and they start pouring water into the towel. And naturally, your mouth and that can't consume all the water. You can't drink it quick enough as they pour it. And it gives you the sensation it's going up your nose, it's going down your throat, and it gives you the complete feeling that you are drowning, even though you're not. The moment they stop it, then it'll subside.
But that's the field waterboarding. They have another one where they put your head completely into a bathtub.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
The only kind we got...
They kill people doing that now.
The only kind we got was the field waterboarding back in the days, the early 70s.
Oh, that's the classic one, man.
And they did it to all of us at SEER School. It was part of the training. And so my argument there is, if waterboard is indeed torture, which I think it is, how come we allow it to torture? And for us SEALs, UDT SEAL guys, giving us waterboard, it was irrelevant. No, and I'll say that, it was irrelevant. Because in our platoons and in all the people that I served with, we all had an agreement. We would never be captured, we'll die first. So why would I need to face the waterboard if I'm dead? All of us were under an agreement that we will die first. We will not be captured. We will go down in a blaze of glory. So why did I need to be waterboarded? When I had already made a conscious decision that if it ever got to the position where I felt I was going to be captured, I would take death first. And and I would think my attitude was, I'll take 3 or 4 of them with me before I go. Because always remember, the SEALs, we don't get mad, we get even. And that's how we operate. I mean, so to me, I felt that the waterboarding and the whole POW thing was irrelevant to us, because there's never been a SEAL captured, nor do I believe there ever will be one. Wow. Because the SEAL will die first in our type of operation. The only way they'd capture the SEAL is if the SEAL didn't know he was going to get captured.
Yeah.
And then he got captured and disarmed.
There is Jesse Ventura somewhere in time 6 months ago when he was here in Austin, Texas. What a great guy in person. Just a regular guy, but quite an individual. Quite a presence. I've never been around anybody in my life. I've been around a lot of famous people who has the presence of Jesse Ventura and the energy. People say, I wear him out. I was wore out after a few days hanging out with this guy. And he's going to come on for a full hour coming up on June 1st. He's been on a huge media blitz with a paperback of his Don't Start the Revolution Without Me, put out by Skyhorse Publishing, a big bestseller. And he's got a lot of news for us today, and I got a lot of questions for him in the 25 minutes we've got left. Jesse Ventura, thanks for coming on with us. Good to have you back here.
Hi, Alex. I guess it's nice to be back, but I don't know. Mexico gets more attractive all the time.
It absolutely does. Are you kidding? I would love to be down there in the beach and the surf as well. I went down to Mexico for a week a few months ago, and I wanted to stay. Speaking of Mexico, let's bring up a question you haven't been asked. What do you think about all the hype of this flu? A couple people die, and they act like it's the end of the world, and Obama saying that we may all be forced to take an inoculation in the fall.
Well, it's certainly something that you don't poo-poo, anytime you get a type of sickness like this, you need to pay attention to it. But I think it was completely overhyped by the media to put the country again into a scare pattern, which seems to be what the media enjoys to do now, is to cause fear and have everyone living in fear. What they need to understand is, okay, if there were 1,500 cases of it in Mexico City, yes, that's something to be very concerned about. I feel the Mexicans, I was down there, they did a terrific job with what they could do. They closed all the schools. They shut down all the soccer games. They did everything conceivably they could do. But remember, Mexico City is a city, 2 or 3 times the size of New York?
Yeah, it's 30 plus million.
Nearly 20 million people live there. 1,500 cases of something is not that large. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be looked at, of course. But when I came home, I went to the airport because I flew this time. They made you fill out a questionnaire, and they asked you questions about your, how you felt. And then they actually had this device where they touched it to your wrist, and it took your temperature. And they wrote that down, and if you went up to fly out, if your temperature was too high, you didn't get on the plane.
Amazing.
So I think Mexico did everything they could within their power when they learned that the swine flu was going around, that they did everything conceivably as a poorer nation that they could possibly do.
Well, Governor, I agree with you, but I agree with the first thing you said. This was used to create hype and fear, and then to openly introduce, we might need to have martial law. There's going to be another breakout soon, and it's this whole infrastructure. Getting to the big national controversy, you've caused quite a buzz and helped really, I think, single-handedly push it back into the spotlight that Cheney and Bush committed all these crimes, ordered torture, and then burned their own underlings and sent them to prison for it, and are now denying it when we have their own memos from Gonzales and others in Bush's speech. What should be done? What's your idea? A hearing in Congress? They'll just whitewash it. I mean, if we don't bring Bush and Cheney to justice, and if Obama covers for him, as he said he's going to, quote, move forward, and I mean, what do we do about this from your view?
First of all, Alex, let's understand why the president wants to move forward. Because the Democrats are involved, too.
Yes.
Good
point.
Now, maybe they didn't order it, but in my opinion, they certainly knew it was going on, and they didn't step forward because of their, let's remember, Democrats truly don't have spines for the most part. And so they condoned it and went along with it. That's why they don't want to continue with it. It's because whenever the government tells you it's time to move on, that means that both parties are involved and both of them did something wrong. They don't want you to know about it, so they want you to move on. And so that's the dilemma you're faced with. And in light of the fact that it's basically all Democrats and Republicans in the Congress and everywhere out there, they're going to move on. And we'll be left like we always are, Alex, yelling out there going, where's justice?
Well, that's my big...
Justice will have been lost or blinded.
Well, that's my question to you. I mean, from your perspective, how do we get out of this left-right where, as you described when we interviewed you, two different wrestlers, play the bad guy, the good guy, but really they're on the same team? How do we get past that and ever get these special interests and these elites out of the way that are doing this to us?
Well, Alex, that's simple. The lemmings out there have to start voting for the independents. Look, we tried our asses off to get Dean Barkley elected. He did very, very well. He got over 400,000 votes. But we have to continue from there and keep going. The only way is to win elections. The only way is to not vote for Democrats and Republicans and stop being lemmings and believing it's your only choice.
Absolutely. It's like a Don King.
Can it be done? I don't know.
Well, it's like a Don King boxing match. I mean, both fighters are owned by him, so what's the point of watching it? It's a rigged deal. Speaking of Dick Cheney...
Alex, come on. So is wrestling, and that's entertaining as hell.
Hey, speaking of that, you went to UFC and saw one of those events, didn't you? Do you still think it might be fake?
The Ultimate Fighting?
Yeah.
Let me put it to you this way. Brock Lesnar, who's the champ now, right?
Yes.
Brock Lesnar told me that pro wrestling is tougher.
Really?
Yeah, that kind of stuns you, doesn't it? But you know why he says it? Here's why. Brock told me pro wrestling is harder because in Ultimate Fighting, he only has to go in there for 15 minutes of hell. Then he takes 2 to 3 months rest. He trains for 2 months, and he goes back in for 15 minutes of hell. Well, in pro wrestling, you got to wrestle every night. You got to do interviews. You got to travel all over the country from one end to the other. It's the most exhausting business you can possibly be in. So that's why. Do I think they're really fighting? Yes, I do.
Have you seen the movie The Wrestler?
But the point is it's only for 15 minutes, and then they get a 6-month rest.
Sure. Have you seen the movie The Wrestler?
No, I have not. I just got back from Mexico.
I want to get your take on that.
Well, I can tell you this. I think that rather than what Hulk Hogan says it's about him, no, it's not. But from what I know about the film,